Did you know that a rebellious prophet ended up in the belly of a whale and lived to tell the tale? This is the mind-blowing story of Jonah, a man chosen by God, but stubbornly resistant to his call. Buckle up, because this story is not just about a man and a massive sea creature. It's about disobedience, second chances, and God's boundless mercy. Our story begins in the ancient city of Gath-Hepher. Jonah, a fearless prophet, hears a divine command from God. Go to the great city of Nineveh and preach against it, because its wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah, knowing the reputation of Nineveh for its cruelty, decides to flee. He runs not toward Nineveh, but in the opposite direction, to the port city of Joppa, where he boards a ship heading to Tarshish. What was Jonah thinking? Tarshish was as far away from Nineveh as you could get, on the western edge of the known world. Jonah wanted to escape God's presence, a futile attempt for someone who knows God is omnipresent. Why didn't he obey? Perhaps fear, or even prejudice against Nineveh, a foreign city infamous for its violence. But whatever the reason, Jonah's fleeing was about to lead to a giant detour in his life. On the ship, Jonah tries to lay low, but God sends a powerful storm that threatens to break the vessel apart. The sailors are terrified. They cry out to their gods and begin tossing cargo overboard to lighten the ship. Yet Jonah is below deck, asleep. The ship's captain finds him and says, "How can you sleep? Get up and call on your God. Maybe he will take notice of us, so that we will not perish." As the storm intensifies, the sailors cast lots to find out who is responsible for this calamity. The lot falls on Jonah. They confront him asking, "Who are you? What is your occupation, and where do you come from?" Jonah replies, "I am a Hebrew, and I worship the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land." This terrifies the sailors. "What have you done?" they exclaim, realizing Jonah was fleeing from his God. Jonah confesses that the only way to calm the storm is to throw him into the sea. Reluctantly, the sailors oblige, praying, "Lord, please do not hold us accountable for taking this man's life." As soon as Jonah hits the water, the storm subsides, and the sailors marvel at the power of Jonah's God, offering sacrifices and making vows to him. And now comes the twist you've been waiting for. Jonah is swallowed by a massive fish. For 3 days and 3 nights, Jonah is in the belly of this incredible creature, alive but trapped. In this dark, confined place, Jonah prays. He acknowledges God's discipline, but also his mercy. He says, "In my distress I called to the Lord, and he answered me. From deep in the realm of the dead I called for help, and you listened to my cry." Jonah realizes he cannot escape God's purpose and declares, "What I have vowed I will make good. I will say, salvation comes from the Lord." The fish, obeying God's command, spits Jonah out onto dry land. Jonah has been given a second chance. This time, he obeys God and goes to Nineveh. When Jonah preaches that the city will be overthrown in 40 days, the Ninevites respond in a way no one expects. They listen. From the king down to the poorest citizen, they fast, wear sackcloth, and cry out to God in repentance. Seeing their genuine repentance, God spares Nineveh. This should have been a moment of joy for Jonah, but he reacts with anger. He questions God, saying, "Isn't this what I said, Lord, when I was still at home? That is why I tried to flee to Tarshish. I knew that you are a gracious and compassionate God, slow to anger and abounding in love." Jonah's words reveal the heart of the story. God's mercy extends not just to Israel, but to all nations, even those like Nineveh. To teach Jonah an important lesson, God causes a leafy plant to grow over him, providing shade and comfort. But the next day, God sends a worm to eat the plant, and Jonah is left sweltering in the heat. Jonah complains about the plant's death, and God uses this moment to question Jonah's priorities. "You are concerned about this plant, though you did not tend it or make it grow. Should I not have concern for the great city of Nineveh, in which there are more than 120,000 people? Here the story leaves us, with Jonah's question unanswered. It challenges us to think about our own hearts. Do we limit God's mercy to only those we deem worthy? Or do we trust in His plan, embracing His compassion for all? The story of Jonah is not just about a man and a whale. It's about the lengths to which God will go to accomplish His will, the power of repentance and forgiveness, and the divine mercy that knows no bounds. So next time you face a situation where you're tempted to run the other way, remember Jonah. God's plans will prevail, and His mercy is always greater than our mistakes.